Well, before we proceed, I would like us to go to our project manager and rename this scene to game scene. Just write game. We will have other scene later in this course, but for now, let's do it for one game scene. That's what happened when you change the scene name. Is so now we'll go to our event. Don't know. Yeah, I know. Tell stuff. Add our first event ever, which is mostly at the beginning of the scene, which is once the game is starting. Sorry for the interruption. Sorry, let me explain like the whole process of coding for you. When coding, you have to keep it very very simple. You don't have to make it kind of complex. Um, this is not a tutorial. This is a course. So you just want to understand because the more you understand, the more able you are to create your own game. Because that's what I want. I want you to be creating your own games and making money with them. So all the process of coding is keeping it simple and don't add much complex stuff when you're coding. Just do stuff that you are capable of. Try to learn new things when you're coding. That's all about coding. And try to learn more things that make coding easier for you. Because if you don't know those things, you'll be writing a lot of code, which is more tiring to do. Permit me to use that language. So this is how we're going to code this. First, we have to know what we are creating. We are creating a fallen object game, which is a game where we want the player to catch the fallen object fallen from above. That's what we are creating. So what we need to program in this part is the object movement, the collision detection, the timing, save and load data, and the variables. That's what we're using and that's what we're coding. First, we're gonna create the movement and move on. Again, where player could be able to catch the fallen objects before they hit the ground. Just that's just to summarize it. So let's start creating much talk. So let's add a new condition. Just click on this add new condition. Add new condition. Just leave this one for at the beginning of the scene. We surely have to use that. So go to game, which is our scene. Go to your scene and I want you to double click on player, or you can right click anyone. Just make sure you show it this edit player layer. So you go to behaviors. I want to give this a player a behavior of a platformer. So I'm gonna give it a platformer character which can move from left to right and all of that, and apply. If you want to learn more about platformer, there's a lot of video out there that can teach you about behaviors and all of that, but for now I don't want to explain much on it because I just want to focus on I've already explained much, though I just want to focus on you just learning how to create a basic game and make money with it. So we add our first condition, which is touches down. So touches on object. My system is kind of slowing because I'm recording. So touch some objects. Let's first touch some left objects. Mhm. Now click OK, and we want like this. Let me just move on. I don't want to talk much. Now we want to select our player. We want our player to simulate left. So we'll go down to simulation and simulate pressing left key on object. You can see our player already have the behavior of a platformer. So you just click OK. So if the object doesn't have a behavior, this won't work. So let me just show you something, a quick one. On this game, F4 to run, that's the shortcut to run it. Sorry for that. So that's one thing about coding and programming. You don't know where your come from, even though you're kind of good. So our ground doesn't have a behavior. That's why our player just immediately like drown. I don't know, fall into the ground. So let's give our ground a behavior. So believe me, my system is giving me some issues. So that's not what I want to choose. I wanted to choose a platform where a platformer character can run on. So this a platform so that our player won't sink to the ground again. So let's apply this. So now let's run it again. F4. Remember, I just created the left button. I didn't create the right one. So what I wanted to tell you that if you use left on your keyboard and right, you can see it's working perfectly. That's because by default gdevelop have already programmed that for your system to work, but it doesn't work for Android because Android doesn't have a keyboard. So if I put here is the right button right, so it won't move right, but if I drag the mouse over to here, you see it starts going left. So that's what I want to tell you. So let's go now and add our right button, so we can control the player left and right this time. So what I normally do once I create this, I don't have to go back and start creating. I just Control C and Control V to paste and change the name to right. And select the our right button and simulate. Can just double click this and simulate right for right button. Now our player is moving left and right. We are created our object movements. That's how to create object movements in gdevelop. They have other ways, but that's one of the easiest. So let's add a new event. Let's drop our object from the top so our player can catch it. So what I normally do once I know I'm going to code a lot of something for a particular object, I normally like create an event group for it, so I know that anything I'm doing here is just for you alone. So I'll create spam object. Don't know if it's spelling or spam object or something, but let me get it on. Okay, my system is kind of slow. So you just watch out how to drag this event over to here and keep it. You can see can close and open this, so everything will be creating about this swarm object will be inside this swarm object, a swarm objects group. So first you want to add is a increase game speed timer. It's a timer, so let's add a solution and say get this other condition and go to timer and add a value of the same timer, which is called, make sure you put those to bracket, and inside of it is increase game speed. Just leave it to equal greater than let me say 5 seconds. Okay, let's say 30 seconds. I'll explain what I'm doing. Just 30 seconds. Okay. Now let's create a timer for our gems and our bombs to drop from the top of our game scene. So we click add condition, you go to others, you see timer and time, you go to value of the same timer, and you make sure you put this to, I don't know what they're calling it, thing on the top of it, and the value is top value, and greater or equal to, let us say 2 seconds. So every 2 seconds our object to every 2 seconds we want our object to drop from the top of the scene. That's why I put 2 seconds. So okay, now there's a function called trigger once. If we don't put this function, our objects will be creating at the top of the screen, will be spawning at the top of the screen once is 2 seconds. And though I'll just show you so that you know how it is. So that's why we put this trigger once. Like many developers use this trigger once function or option to fix that bug. So every 2 seconds it only creates one object instead of creating multiple objects once it's 2 seconds. So go to action and click it. Now you go to gem, that's the object you want to create. To create the bomb later, create an object. So we want to randomly create that with saying not only in a particular position. I can just say 7 and I can say 6 or 9. It just creates at that particular spot continually. But we want to use random. This random, according to game developers and game world, using random your game make your game very interesting because the player don't know what next to come, so they just expect it randomly by the program or the computer itself. So we are using random in range, and so you type 26. I will explain this what I'm doing, the code I'm writing here later, but this 26 right here is the starting point of the x-axis. That's our game scene, the starting point of it. Then this 99 is the ending point of the x-axis. Then now before we run the game or test the game for the first time, let's start our timer. You can see we are only calling the timer, but we have not started yet. So let's go here at condition at the beginning of the scene. at the beginning of the scene. Click OK. um let's call our timer and time. Start or reset the scene timer, which is our timer drop value. That's the timer we're using. Oh, and OK. And I want us to create another thing here. If is greater or equal to 2 seconds. I don't usually use this greater or equal to, so I don't see that as, I don't really use that. So if it is greater than 2 seconds, just put it like that. By default it's set to equal or greater, but greater than 2 seconds. So I know here what I'm doing. So if it's greater than 2 seconds, I want us to kind of reset the timer to start afresh to 2 seconds, to start afresh from 0. So Ctrl C, copy. Now come here and paste. Once you copy something gdevelop, the engine know you have copied, so it should be showing this paste option here. So you just click it and to paste it here. So trigger once. So anytime this drop value get to 2 seconds, it will reset the time to 0 and to start counting from 1 again. So let's run the game and see. F4 to run, that's the shortcut. As you can see, our object is being created and it's not dropping, it's just there, but we have achieved what we are doing. That's the first step. This about creating a timer, as I said, and spamming your objects. And the next thing we are going to be doing, we're going to apply force to this object so that when it's created, it's dropped down immediately. So let's go to action, and you go to action on objects. On the gym, let's go down to force, or you can actually search it. I don't know which one is easier. Okay, just go down. This force, using force, movement using force. So add force, so I want to show you a picture I normally use when doing all this kind of stuff in gdevelop. So this picture is the angle of gdevelop. So we want to add force in the x-axis and want it to go down once the object is created. I'll post this picture in my group, in our gaming group, so you see it. So this picture, this want this object to go 90° down or minus 270° down. So we'll be using that in this x-axis. So we just put 90 here, and for the x-axis, sorry, for the y-axis we put 0. Am I getting it right? Okay, no, sorry for that. I don't know if I don't get it right. We'll turn it, so we'll just reverse it. You put 0 in the x-axis, and in the y-axis you put 90. Instant drop the object and click OK. So each time our object is created in 2 seconds, we want to add force to that object to drop down in 90° instant. This didn't seem right. It didn't seem right. It didn't seem right. Let's go over here again. So I mistakenly click on order. At first, um, let me see. Let me see. Okay, okay. Let's use angle instead of that, because we are not calling the speed, we are just calling it it's not giving us the speed option, as you can see here. So let's use 90, as you see there in that picture. Let me bring it up again. 90. So that's the angle we want it to drop. Let's see our speed. Let me see 100, because this speed we use it to in the game mechanics to advance the level of the game as the game is going on. So let's click OK. So let's play this and see. Okay, since we are calling the reset timer, that's the reason it's not going down. Since we are calling this reset timer, it won't like create multiple times. Once it's to just create only one of these objects. So let's we could delete this, but I don't want us to delete it because this creation of objects used to be, I don't know, something else sometimes. So what we'll do is let's create another event, and drag it in the spam objects group layer. Just drag it in here. Now drag this down. Now it will always send it down. We don't need to trigger once again, because this trigger once is causing it not to drop down. So let's play it again. F4 everybody. Now you can see our objects slowly dropping down as we intend to. Don't worry, in the next part we are going to work on our collision when our gym is colliding with the player. But for now, yes, this, at least what we did, is working. So let's close this. Forget to make this thing 260. Is it 290? 690. So we'll be seeing all the object that is being created. Let's just make it like that. The 80 is the space between the 26 and the 99. That's what's like the space between the 26 and the 99 our object is going to be created. So this y-axis, we can say 0, which will drop from the top, exactly from the top of the scene. But we don't want that, because if we put it in 0, like our life, our pulse and our points objects, we overlap it will drop behind them, and we don't want that. So we want it to drop under it. So let's say 120. So I'll show you. Let's click OK. Let's go to the scene. Where this picture right here I'm showing you is how it works. You can see the 26 at the points of the scene, and you can see the 26 at the point of the x-axis, and at the start point of the x-axis, the 99 at the end point of the x-axis, the 180, the space between the starting point of the x-axis and the ending point of the x-axis, that it will randomly create between that space. And you can see our 120 beneath our life and our points. That's what we are doing here. You can see our 26 starting from this point. That's why I put in this point. If I put in 0 to start exactly here, which will be creating our object between this line here. I don't want that to happen. If you create between here, you want to be seeing this other part. So this 26 now is very okay for us, and this 99, according to the one I created previously, my 99 is here, but if you check our 99 now is here. So I have to kind of change this to this point, which is 69, 60, 90. That's where I have to change this to. I have to change it to 60, 90 or 700. Let me see, 700. No, let's use 60, 90 or 60, 80 will be even better. Now before we move on to that part, I would like us to change all these objects right here to the UI layer, because these parts are, I don't want them to interrupt with our game. So let's change all this to UI. Just click all of them. And go to layer, change it to UI, and you can also click play game and high score, all this, just all of them, yeah. Change it to UI, change the layer to UI. So okay, that is done. Now let's proceed to our programming. Go to game events, let's create more stuff.